Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Yeah. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Yeah. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, ThirstTrap, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, ThirstTrap, trap squad, trap squad.
We live and
I got the blood in the city. I've been trying to notify, do the same work. Do the same work. Bitch, I done tried it 9 to 5, do the same work. Bitch, I was born black. Can't no whites compare to that. I done seen a lot of niggas lose their lives cause of that, and that's a born fact. Cause I'm black, I'm supposed to lay down and take the shit you giving me. Well, bitch, I ain't gon' stay down. My hands up, screaming, don't shoot. Because I'm black, these pigs, they be quick to let it loose. We gotta come together, take a stand now, get this man out the White House. We done playing around.
Yeah. Intro music has a particularly, it hits a little different this time right now. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Clickbaity, the political thirst trap. Clearly, I am not Jason. My name is Kim, and I'm from the island of misfit black girls. What's going on with y'all? Marcus and Mondale asked me to come on and hang out with them tonight, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And we're going to talk about a variety of different things. But of course, thank you, Marcus and Mondale, for allowing me to put my feet up on your couch and hang out with y'all brothers for a few minutes tonight.
sis, the blessing is ours, not yours. We are blessed. Marcus?
Man, listen, respect, man. I got to give a quick shout out to Stir Crazy and your show, Stir Crazy, and also the Real News Network. Thank you for having me on your shit. So I appreciate you coming on mine.
No worries, brother. No worries, brother. Well, tonight we're going to get into a cross section of things that are impacting Black America. You see, it's a little late. It's a little past Granny's bedtime, so Granny's a little sleepy. That's why I'm slurring my words already. But you know, we are still dealing very much with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, in addition to watching what's happening in Minneapolis, as so many of our brothers and sisters are rising up, standing up, burning shit down, shutting shit down after what happened to brother George Floyd. And so we're going to touch on a variety of things tonight, fellas. Where would y'all like to start? Where shall we begin?
I think we talk about Minnesota. I think we talk about what happened up there. And by the way, I just want to start this conversation off by saying Target ain't a part of my damn community.
Nigga.
That corporation is not. So if you're watching this show and you're expecting for the rest of this show to be some safe space for us to be like trying our hardest to tell people to like not be mad and not go burn some shit up, you got the wrong place. You're officially in the wrong place. I have no more cheeks left besides the one on my ass that these cops can keep.
Let's be 100. You talking about Target, bro? Let's just say what Target is. The federal government used Target. Target surveil people so much. The federal government sometimes lease them out to do investigation on people. So yeah, I'm with Marcus. Target's not a part of our community.
See, now y'all making me glad I used to steal from Target. So yes, thank y'all.
That part.
Now I don't steal from Target no more, but I did.
And it wasn't because she wanted to, it's because she probably was hungry or something.
No, y'all want to know what I was stealing from Target?
I definitely want to know.
Yes, I do.
I hope they don't still got the video because I hope the statute of limitations done ran out on that long time ago. Real talk. I used to go in there and steal the Neutrogena under eye cream because that shit was like $14. And I'm like, dog, I'm not dropping $14 on this. I'm about to put this right in my purse.
It is clickbait. It is clickbaity.
Sorry, I'm so sorry if I outed myself as
an ex that steals. They used to steal from. They used to steal from Walmart every time she went in, and it was the first time that anybody ever talked to me about a living wage. She said, she said, yeah. I was like, what's the living wage? She was like, I steal from there because they don't pay their people a living wage, so fuck them. And I was like, okay, let me find out what a living wage is. So she was literally just, I had a pocket full of money too. Yeah, go to the car. She's pulling
protesting
out of her bra, right, and talking about like class warfare and shit.
civil disobedience, bruh. That's exactly what that is. Catch me if you can, bitch.
I think a white guy got a movie because he was stealing, right?
Probably. I mean,
yeah.
shoot.
Who played it? Leonardo DiCaprio? Like Catch Me If You Can was the name of the movie.
That's exactly what that was. I just watched that for the first time. That movie was pretty good. And he was stealing his ass off everywhere. And the funny thing about that movie is that this family, I mean, just it's amazing, like how powerful whiteness is. Like that movie is actually a masterclass in how white people can just move in spaces without being questioned, really. You know what I mean? Like even the character who was playing Tom Hanks, the federal agent trying to catch him. I mean, like the feds was like, come on, Jimmy, you just gotta, I mean, fuck it, you're never gonna catch him. You know what I mean? Except he was determined to get him, and it did eventually get him. But that movie was
they got him and gave him a job.
Gave him a goddamn job. That's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened.
Gave him a job.
I don't know what it is about white skin, but it makes them, they're automatic like experts, right? They're the default authority on so much to each other, not to us, because Black folks, being out in the world, we have experienced way too many incompetent white people to just assume that all of them are smart, intelligent, / know what they're doing. No, it's not the case.
I want to say that they kind of weaponized that in the industry that I'm in right now. What I mean by that is if you, in order for you to get a cannabis license nowadays, you have to have experience in growing and selling weed. Now,
and guess what? Growing and selling weed in the under market probably don't count.
That's right. So unless you have been illegally growing weed and getting away with it for years, you don't necessarily have the same opportunity as somebody who might have been growing a plant, right? So they actually give you points for the more experience you have, and you can't have a felony. Now, who's that person?
Exactly.
Karen and her husband.
Karen and her high-ass husband.
Yeah, well, her high-ass husband, his daddy had a good lawyer to get her high-ass husband, get his record expunged. That one time he got pinched for weed, right? That's
right.
Which is also a testament to the over policing of our communities, because people don't understand that about 13% of Black people sell marijuana supposedly illegally, and then the same thing is true for white communities, but we make up almost 70-80% of those that are arrested for it. So that's if you put 1,000 hunters in the field hunting deer, of course they're gonna kill more deer than if you got 2 hunters. And that's what it is in our community. It's 1,000 cops versus the 2 cops that's riding around white neighborhoods.
That's right. I mean, if you think about over policing, like, not to put too much of my family business out here, but a couple of days ago, my nephew just got arrested for having weed on him in Jacksonville. And I'm just thinking to myself, there are people riding around delivering weed in Florida legally right now. And they use the whole excuse, your car smells like weed. They still use that excuse in states that have medical marijuana.
Yeah, because that was like the hugest thing when weed got legalized recreationally in Washington, D.C., although it's not available for recreational sale, go figure. But you are allowed to have 2 ounces on your person in D.C. In Maryland, where I am, it's 10 grams. But like when the city council, the Washington, D.C. City Council, and shout out to Councilman David Grosso, city councilman at large for Washington, D.C., he was part of the author. He helped to author that bill. And the one thing that they included, that the smell of marijuana is no longer probable cause, which is huge because that's such an entry point, right, for police to start fucking with people, regardless of whether or not they actually smell weed or no, right? Like that doesn't even have to be like a verified fact for them to do that. So and I'd be scared to death for brothers and sisters in redder states, redder parts of this country. Because I mean, years ago, I used to live in Missouri. I used to live in Oklahoma. And I'm like, dog, I know how Prince George's County, Maryland police get down. Please don't let me get caught with no sticks or stems in my car in Oklahoma or in Missouri, because they're going to try to put me under the jail for some bullshit.
Yeah, it's a death sentence. I mean, but it's not like the police officers need much, and which leads me kind of back to Minnesota. This brother understands something. A $20 bill. $20 bill, trying to go shopping and get some food, not even like stealing directly from there. And there's been plenty of times when I went to the store and my bill was it wasn't legit, and it was like, oh, my bad, let me go and pull out another 20 because I didn't realize that this was counterfeit. I'm sorry, I don't have a high definition printer. I can't print out $20 bills. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, understand something. That city is burning right now. Basically because cops wanted to fuck with somebody for a $20 bill or counterfeit 20. And meanwhile, you go get arrested in Charleston and you go shoot up a church in Charleston and you get some McDonald's on your way to jail. So, I mean, it's a Burger King on your way to jail. So, I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. And, you know, I kind of want to push what we were talking about to that place because the ridiculousness of it and the long-term horrible relationship that police department had with black Americans has. I mean, I knew about that. I knew about Minneapolis Police Department years and years ago, and how they were treating black people, right? How they were treating our Eritrean and our Ethiopian brothers that are up there. Like, don't get it twisted. It's a black thing. They harass and they go hardcore. So, you know, I mean, I'm glad we're laughing, but I have to drink. Because there's so much murder and there's so much death that is aimed at us in general and I don't think a lot of my white friends understand it. I don't think a lot of my Caucasian friends, because I used to get shouted down on Facebook a lot. I used to get shouted down. Why are you always talking that black stuff? You know, well, like, why are you always bringing up blackity this and black that? And then some people actually defriended me because I'll make a statement, and then it's like today I see some of those same folks like sounding like they got a damn dashiki on. So it's interesting how times change. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that the awareness is finally being where it is. I mean, I've never heard a Republican elected official ever say somebody should be charged with something, and that has changed everything a lot. So, you know, those are my thoughts on it, man.
Yeah, let me tell you something, brother. You touched on two things that were proverbially accurate right now and also real. First, you talked about George, who got killed in Minneapolis, but you also talked about South Carolina, right? Think about the youngest person ever received the death penalty, George Tenney in South Carolina, 14 years old, for something that nobody knew. I mean, everybody knew he didn't do, right? It was impossible. It was literally impossible for him to drag the two bodies of those two white girls who he was killed for. And then for South Carolina to come back, 60, 70 years later and be like, okay, we exonerate him. No, you don't. He's dead. How can you exonerate a dead person, right? So, and then you talked about Detroit being on fire. The world is on fire. And for Black people, the sad part, the tragedy of George's death in Minneapolis is the fact that in a season, nobody will remember this brother. By nobody, I'm talking about this country. They won't remember his name. They might remember the situation surrounding it. But he's going to go down in history just as another brother who was brutalized, but in his case, murdered by agents of the state. And it's so common. Like I said, it's so common that, it feels like Detroit 1943, where 433 Black people were brutalized, and then 25 more were murdered by cops and soldiers who were brought in. 6,000 soldiers were brought in to respond to that riot. It was so bad up there, man, that I don't even need to talk about up there back then, because I could talk about over there in Minneapolis right now and all over. And people are worried about property more than they're about the trauma that Black people associate with living. So to me, I hear what you're saying. It makes a whole lot of sense. But beyond that, bro, just to be black, today at work, man, I was so disconnected from what work was supposed to be. And it's like, I'm supposed to go to work, hop on Zooms, and somebody showed me a post from Ice Cube this morning saying, I'm sorry for the people who thought they were going to see me on the morning show, but I ain't feel like telling America good morning.
That's right.
Man, that is so real for me, not just now. I live with a trauma that makes me constantly angry at people that you know, fly that flag. I live across from this building, and every morning their flag, they have this huge flag across from their building, and it's disgusting to see that flag fly, because I know what it really means to be black. And that flag basically means applesauce, baseball, and kill niggas. That's all that flag means to me, period.
What does y'all take about the people that are black people and white people alike who are saying, hey guys, this isn't the way, you know, we're burning down our own communities. You don't want to, you know, tear up shit in your own neighborhood. This is not how you get stuff accomplished. Like there's a big like respectability component when it comes to protesting, right? In the manner in which people choose to do it. And it's almost like it's this sort of like stuffing down of our emotions, right? As if people don't have the right to be angry enough, like to tear shit up, right? Fuck Target, right? We don't give a shit about Target. Target got insurance. Target gonna be all right. Don't worry about Target. Corporations aren't people, Mitt Romney. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we're not hurting Target's feelings, like Marcus said, but for folks who are saying this is not the appropriate way, I want to get y'all's take on that. What do you have to say?
I got a couple of things. First, our country was founded off of a whole Tea Party that wasn't no damn Tea Party. These white folks got dressed up, broken and entering into a British ship. That's right, and it wasn't pretty, right? I mean, y'all didn't say nothing about Rosewood,
Right?
Y'all didn't say nothing about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Y'all didn't say nothing about Black Wall Street getting burned down, right?
Old Wilmington, North Carolina.
You have a hard time giving them reparations, right? Like, so until you fully give, and I'm not talking about an acknowledgement or a state house acknowledgement on the state floor with a plaque that's saying this happened, sorry. I'm talking about full-fledged, okay, they're descendants, they're great descendants. Black Wall Street would be a multi-billion dollar society right now if white folks didn't burn it down. If y'all care so much about us burning shit down, then this is what you do. This is what you do. You go to Tulsa and you go to the descendants of those brothers and sisters who live in Tulsa, and you give them your last dollar, and you give them some version of reparations so they can be straight forever, right? We only care about it when it is purely black expression, right? They'll steal everything from us: our music, our clothes, our styles, our earrings, the way we do our hair. They'll steal everything from us. But as soon as we take from them a little bit, it becomes a problem of respectability problems. And last thing, this ain't King no more, man. We've been turning our cheek for a while. And I'm not trying to dismiss Dr. King, but even Dr. King said, I am afraid that I have brought my people into a burning house. Right?
That's real.
So what did he mean by that? He meant that, listen, I brought my people to make sure that we shall overcome. And I brought them so they can have the right to vote. And I brought them so we don't have to sit on the back of the bus, just so y'all could be more overtly, kill us more overtly, right? So that's my thought process on it.
So for me, I mean, that's a powerful question about the respectability politics things. Here's what's interesting to me. We were talking about Detroit. I was talking about Detroit earlier. If you remember, like when Detroit riots happened, there was this group of black people who formed the riot committee or something. It was basically like trying to tell black people telling black people go back to work and stop burning stuff down. The tragedy of that is it's the policing of anger, and this is not anger over a soccer game when we see white people kicking over cop cars, setting them on fire over you know what I'm saying, over a football game, not our football but football. And then when black people, when a life is lost, we're supposed to somehow muster up the strength and go back to work and go back and smile and say good morning America. I don't think America is good. I don't think a morning should be good until we have justice for this brother's life. And I want people to stay in the street as long as they want to be. And I want these cops to stop killing them because they're in the streets. Period.
Hey, you know what? Mondale, Amy Klobuchar, Senator Klobuchar. Like
directly linked. Blood is on her hands.
Pause.
Blood is on her hands.
Let's just go ahead and play RIP music to her camp, to her vision of becoming the vice president.
Mm-hmm.
But what we need to also kind of think about is this. You know how many other elected officials, including the guy who won the Democratic nomination, have done things that created a situation that cops feel free to put their goddamn knees on our neck? You know how many we have it's like in politics, we elevate anybody who fucks with the Black community the most. If you pass that sort of gauntlet and that sort of test, and that if that used to be a litmus test, well, did you protect gay rights? Yes. Did you fuck with Black people? Yes. Well, then you're in. You're good. Let's make sure he gets a pat check, Jim.
Okay.
Listen, so let's sis, if you don't mind, let's not breeze over that Amy Klobuchar. What Marcus is talking about is, I almost call you Martin. You know, Martin Luther King changed his name. A lot of people don't know that. He wasn't born Martin Luther King. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So Amy Klobuchar refused to prosecute the same officer who had his knee on his brother's neck. She refused when she was a prosecutor, right? She had the opportunity to prosecute him for excessive force, and she didn't. So she is, you know, indirectly responsible for this brother's death, because had she charged him, he may not have been a cop. He definitely wouldn't have been a cop in that city anymore. So this is something that shouldn't be looked at lightly. And also, we are obligated to hold her accountable for this. So she runs out in front of the camera and say that there should be arrest, there needs to be justice, but you didn't give us justice when you had the opportunity to do it. So I'm looking at it like, Marcus, you're right about calling her name and say RIP to her campaign for vice president, but I don't know. Like you just said, the hurt you do to Black people elevates you. So it may not be the end of her campaign for vice presidency.
Hey, let's listen. You better hope for Kamala Harris' sake that somebody out in the Bay Area who was a police while she was attorney general out there doesn't end up hurting somebody else of color, because I mean, you could say the same thing really about Kamala Harris as well. During her tenure, she was very reluctant to prosecute cops of misconduct or brutality, and is proud to call herself police. I don't see how you're going to win many Black votes by, you know, wrapping your arms around law enforcement, because I mean, that's just those are our enemies, like even the Black ones, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I live in a very Black area. I live in Prince George's County, Maryland, and Prince George's County, Maryland police have a very notorious reputation for shooting the shit and beating the shit out of Black people. Black cops, white cops. It's just how it goes down. But I want to flip this on y'all, right? Okay, I mean, we could talk about, you know, the political aspect of it, but if I say these two names, I want to get your reaction. Now, the first name you may not remember. The second name you definitely will. First name, Micah Johnson. Second name, Christopher Dorner. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
A little. Catch me up.
Micah Johnson in 2016 was the military veteran who in Dallas, Texas, was a sniper. Right. And he shot and killed a handful of police. And he's actually the first person in history, in American history, to ever be killed on American soil by a robot. They sent a bomb attached to a robot into the building and blew him up. Okay, they unheard of, unprecedented, right? And Christopher Dorner, if you don't remember what happened with Chris Dorner was the military veteran.
Was he Navy?
Yeah,
I think he was in the Navy.
Yeah.
Former LAPD, what was witness to acts of brutality, racism against the community, and racism that he endured while on the job. Fed up, frustrated, full of rage, he ended up shooting and killing police, shot at the police. The police was so scared of Chris Dorner when he was on the run. Like, I can remember watching that live on cable news. It was like watching a movie. Like, is he going to get away? Like, Chris Dorner kept like leveling up. It was nuts. But we don't really talk about him and Micah Johnson, I think because of what they did, right? They took things into their own hands and struck out against the state and state violence directly, right? I even think we're even scared to like hold their names up for real, because you don't ever want to be associated with cop killers in this nation, right? But at the same time, the police kill us all the time, okay? Indiscriminately, right? People say that Chris Dorner took innocent lives. Police take innocent Black and brown lives all the time. It does, you know, they don't know that these people are parents, grandparents, you know, leaders in their community, or even if they're not those things, it really shouldn't matter. If they weren't
Life.
Right, they were life. So I am wondering, at what point are we going to see another Chris Dorner or another Micah Johnson? Because I feel as if the society is really leaving Black people with very little recourse here. We have tried the nonviolent way. We have tried through the courts. We sue, we get settlements. That doesn't stop. They don't seem to have a problem paying out tens of millions of dollars to settle cases of, you know, police brutality, or when the police kill innocent people. So what do we have left here, gentlemen?
I'm sorry, Marcus. I've never been a listen, my favorite person ever born is right here over my left shoulder, and that's Malcolm X. And he wrote and gave a speech, Ballot or the Bullet. And I'm thinking people weren't listening, because what the climate right now and what you talk about with when you read Chris Donner's manifesto, his asystematic and unsymmetrical war on the police department was a statement of, I will not stand by and let this happen. This is a person who was a part of the Los Angeles Police Department, saw and witnessed what they were doing to his community, and felt some type of way about it. Now, some people may have a problem with the way he went about carrying out his manifesto, but I mean, you can't when you choke people for so long, what do you think they're gonna do to breathe? When I can't breathe, I'm gonna do everything possible to live. So, you know, my thought is you can't. I have no governor on Black rage at all, not in America.
You know, I got, you see, I'm fresh. I got my hair cut today, and I was in the barbershop, and this couple started just randomly talking about National African American Association for Gun Owners. NAGA is their name, and so what I found interesting is how there is a underlying vibe in Black America now that I've never seen before in my life, where it's like, we gotta strap up. I remember about 5 years ago, when you start talking about gun ownership, people would actually kind of hush you down. And now it's becoming more of a bubble underneath it. So I don't know about us striking out, because every culture has somebody who's gonna do something, right? That no matter what. White folks just tend to have more of them in America that want to go out and lash out when they feel like they're oppressed. What I do know is that until we start forcing our politicians to force money away from companies that invest and politicians that invest in the police departments, and making sure that there's not as much power that these police unions have, and to make sure that we actually start holding people accountable, and we have a president, whoever that president might be, that would use federal authority to investigate every single police shooting. I don't care how much you have to beef up the Justice Administration, but the Justice Administration starts treating cops as normal citizens. When that happens, we might see some change. But Kim, yeah, it's scary, because it's not going to be long. It's not going to be me. It might not be anybody on the show, anybody watching the show. But right now, there's a kid who got beat up by a cop 12 years ago that's just bubbling and looking for his opportunity. And unfortunately, we're not providing enough justice for people. So when you see it again, over and over again, eventually somebody's going to act out. And I just hope it doesn't happen. But Lord knows it's a possibility.
And I want people to know that we're not being reckless with our words. We're not saying that we need to go to war with white America. What we're saying though is how can you argue when you defend and celebrate the Tea Party? You can't defend and celebrate us wanting liberty as well. I mean, y'all call Malcolm X a radical because he said ballot or the bullet, but y'all love the white man who said, give me liberty or give me death. Mm-hmm. Why I can't have liberty? Why can't my options be liberty or death, right? So we know that the government's going to side with white people. And if we go to war with white people, then we're going to war with the American government. We understand that. So that's not what we're saying. What we are saying, though, is there is no wrong in someone, like Marcus said, who's been brutalized by someone retaliating about that. Period.
I wish we had more John Browns, man.
John Brown was, listen, Kim Brown, no relation to John Brown. I don't know. Because you for that part of the world too.
That's what I'm saying.
Arkansas. Listen, and speaking of Arkansas, I mean Arkansas. I don't want no beef with nobody. Your family member Phyllis Brown just said you could chop it up with the best of them. So I just want to let you know she's in the comments. She's
Little
watching.
Rock, Arkansas is about it.
Y'all been banging in Little Rock.
Man, Little Rock is wild. I see. I had something else to ask y'all. Oh, I wanted to touch back on something Marcus said. You know, Marcus, you talking about putting pressure on the federal government on the Department of Justice to investigate, these instances of police, wrongdoing. I unfortunately remember the murder of a young Black woman in Washington, D.C., just blocks from the White House, while President Barack Obama was in the White House, while Eric Holder was the Attorney General. Her name was Miriam Carey. She was from the New York, Connecticut area. She had driven down to D.C. really for unknown reasons, but she had her infant child in her backseat, 2-year-old little girl. And when the story finally came out, what happened? Miriam made a wrong turn towards the White House. She knocked over a bike rack and the police approached her and she freaked out. And so she took off and they chased her through Washington, D.C., not that far from the White House, maybe just a few blocks. And when they finally got her to stop, they shot her in the head twice with her child in the backseat. Now, what pissed me off, I was so infuriated by this incident. I was in touch with her sister for a time afterwards because there was never no charges filed. Secret Service and U.S. Capitol Police were involved. Investigation went nowhere. Nobody was held accountable. They tried to say that she tried to run over cops. The subsequent facts, this was investigated by a number of journalists. Turns out that didn't happen. One officer was injured, but he somehow ended up hurting himself. They initially tried to blame that on her. And that was misstated. That was not the facts, right? But we had a Black president in the White House while this Black woman was shot in the head with her Black child in the back seat and the Black Attorney General, and them niggas sat on their hands and they didn't do shit for that woman. They didn't give her justice at all. And I think that we play the white man's folly when we try to adhere to the white man's system, right? We're never going to get justice from this Justice Department, really, from the Injustice Department. That shit wasn't set up for us to get justice. You dig? Like the Justice Department may have done some things, fighting the Klan really under duress, right, in the 60s and 70s. But after that, not so much. So I really feel as if that we have to get accountability and justice really at a grassroots level. Again, I'm not advocating for violence. At the same time, violence and money are the only two things certain people really understand. That's the only language that they really, really get. So I just wanted to push back on you, Marcus, when you said that we got to put faith in, or we have to hold the federal, make the feds be accountable, because they never will be accountable to our needs and wants.
I agree. But when I mean accountable, I mean Barack Obama is literally the highest polling elected official in the Black community for the past 10 years, right? No matter where you are outside of maybe Georgia a little bit, because Stacey was up there pretty high too, but it's Barack Obama. We have, as a community, and it may, as people who want to get close to the seat of power, we gave Barack a lot of passes. That's just a factual thing.
That's true.
And if Barack, in his mind, if Barack said, "Hey, I'm not gonna do nothing," they still gonna like me. Guess what? You're not gonna do nothing, and y'all still like him. And y'all, and I mean, it is nothing. Some things just didn't happen. He didn't prosecute some things, right? But I mean, imagine if there was something like people actually caring about getting our votes. Imagine if there was something about accountability. Mondale brings this up all the time in his work with Black Male Voter Project. Like, once the election is over, the real battle begins, right? Like, so shout out to Tom Picotti also. So, like, what if they were afraid of us instead of our senior elected official saying shit like he's an unofficial Black man? Instead of our senior elected officials saying shit like, what else? Oh yeah, we don't need a Black woman. Instead
or saying Bill Clinton was the first Black president.
Yeah, oh yeah, saying Bill Clinton was the first Black president because he played saxophone.
He on his wife and smoked weed.
And then went back to Arkansas and killed a brother, right? Like, we are so close to just trying to have a winning side and a winning team. And I'm so sick and tired of Negroes telling me, well, we're gonna hold them accountable once we know you're not. You're just gonna go to that damn CBC dinner and shut up.
Ooh.
And pick out your curtains and we ain't holding him accountable because if y'all can't hold a brother accountable, how y'all gonna hold a white man accountable?
I mean, and truth be told, Marcus, I'm talking about holding brother accountable and the white man accountable. They scream more about Barack than they do about Biden. And Barack was their president. But let's not breeze over a Miriam Carey's case, because I was fresh in DC when it happened. And the disgusting part of that was the story that played out about who she was and what happened. They try to act like she was trying to drive through the White House, and there was she might have been tied to terrorists. And then they initially said that, but then it was like, oh, there's no terrorists. But to back up their claim, they sent a robot in her house, a bomb squad. They found nothing. It was simply, anybody who's ever driven on DC Street knows that these one ways and these where you can and can't go can be confusing. And that's if you live in the city, not alone if you're visiting, right? So the idea that this woman was trying to carry out some kind of so-called terrorist attack in her mind with a 18-month baby in the back seat was ridiculous. And the fact that administration said there was no excessive force used and there was no need to prosecute shows what the tolerance for Black pain and Black death is in this country. It's so high that you can literally kill someone, Miriam, or what's the brother name who said he was a gun owner, who had the gun on him.
Oh, Philando Castile.
Philando. They killed Philando, and he literally doing nothing with his baby in the back on live on a Facebook Live. So I'm telling you, to be Black in this country is to be a criminal to these people.
Yeah, and just to piggyback a little bit off of what happened to Miriam, just to be clear, the White House has been attacked many times by individuals who have breached the White House, right? I mean, breached the campus.
While
they have
Obama in office.
What not only Barack, but I mean a lot, right? During Barack and pre-Barack, even people have tried to do shit at the White House with Trump in the White House, right?
Yeah.
She's the only one who has ever been killed. And I'm not bullshitting about that. Like, there was a person during the Bush administration, I believe, who fired a gun at the White House. They did not shoot. I'm sorry, I'm shaking the camera. They did not shoot him, okay? They subdued him. She's the only one to have ever been accused of trying to breach the White House campus to ever be murdered. Ever. She was 100% unarmed, and she had a baby in the backseat. Like,
and they didn't kill her at the White House. They killed her way down the street at Garfield, right? Like, she got killed way down by Garfield.
At Maryland Avenue, at that circle. Yeah. There's a traffic circle right there.
Right.
And it's Secret Service. Like, they could take you out from their couch. You know what I mean? Like, if it was really that bad, they got all kinds of sensors and technology that they don't necessarily have to. That was Capitol Police. It was Capitol Police, right?
And Secret Service, yeah.
And Secret Service.
Uniform and ununiform.
That's right. Unbelievable. But gentlemen, we're going to talk about what's happening right now with the Black Plague, also known as COVID-19,
right?
The pandemic that is still raging, as far as I can tell, across the United States, but you can't tell because they are insisting on opening up everything. And I'm here in Maryland, in Prince George's County, which has been the hardest hit in the state of Maryland. I can't recall exactly how many people have died, but we have had the largest number of deaths and, I believe, infections. Now, here in the DC area, Washington, DC, Maryland suburbs, and Northern Virginia, we are all entering phase 1 of reopening, including Prince George's County. We're going to hit phase 1 on June 1st, where, you know, retail stores will be reopened for curbside shopping, and I think they're going to allow some outdoor dining. You can go back to the hairdresser. I think it's like one person per 100 square feet, something like that. As bad as I need to go to the hairdresser, I'm still not sure if that's the chance I'm willing to take, especially since Venus is still in retrograde. Shit, I can wait. But what's things looking like in y'all's particular corners of the world?
Well, I've said many times on this show that Georgia is going to be the petri dish for all the mess that's about to happen, and also a testing ground. I live in Atlanta. I live in Fulton County. Fulton County has one of the highest rates of COVID-19 with Black folks in America, right? Mm-hmm. What I'm going to say is this right here: they're trying to kill us, and unless Black folks come together as a resistance, and I mean that like in not Becky 2013 terms or Karen 2014 terms, but as a resistance, as in, you know, Montgomery bus boycotts, 63, 64, right? Like, we need to come together as a resistance and literally say, all right, here, how do we figure out how do we take care of everybody else besides the essential workers? Our COVID checks aren't coming in down here. I'm talking about the PPE checks, the Paycheck Protection Program checks aren't coming. Like, a lot of people's initial $1,800 didn't come, right? So folks are struggling. They have to get out the house. Now, that's the government part. I have to also talk about you Negroes. Yes, I'm gonna talk about you Negroes real quick. Don't come to Atlanta expecting me to take you to no damn pool party. Don't come to Atlanta expecting me to hang out.
Go to brunch.
Don't come to Atlanta expecting to do that bougie 2017, 2018, 2019 brunch party shit with you, because I'm not gonna do it. Your dumbass gonna be out there by yourself with a bunch of other dumbass people, and since y'all are doing dumbass stuff together, somebody already has that dumbass COVID, and y'all gonna spread it to each other. You can't come back to my house. You can't even call me, dog. You might be able to spread that shit to me. So don't call me. Don't ask me for shit, right? Like, excuse my language, right? But like, what I'm saying is like this right here. And I love you, Black people, but I've done a damn good job for the past 3 months of keeping my Black ass inside. I don't want to catch it now that y'all messing around.
So here's I second what Marcus is talking about and the threat to Black lives. And I like that you call it the Black Plague. Let me tell you something though. For me, the most pressing news as it pertains to COVID right now is I don't know if you guys heard about this or not, but there's a cop down in Louisiana, Steve Corn, who basically said while the governor is giving his live updates on one of the local news channels, he goes on Facebook and say in public, he texts that he's the only problem with the COVID is more Black people didn't die. That's what's unfortunate to him. So if and some people might see this as an individual who's problematic, but to me, it rings true to why so many Black people are dying by the hands of cops, right? Like, this is not a disconnected or isolated event. This is the cover you get when you wear a blue uniform and people say Blue Lives Matter in response to Black Lives Matter. This right here, this brother feeling comfortable enough to go on a live stream of the governor of his state and say that the only unfortunate part of Corona is more Black people didn't die from it. It's the same reason that so many Black people, actually, it's the reason that Black people, Black men specifically, are more likely to be killed by cops than almost anything else in this country. So that news is scary to me because it reminds me that cops have been killing Black people or wanting Black people to die since they've been in this institution in this country.
Let me ask y'all a big picture question. What is the end result of all this racist, like genocide of Black people. Like white people, they're going to be bored to death if they kill all the Black people. Y'all don't like your own cooking. Y'all love eating Black people cooking. You love our music. You love our style. You know what I mean? Like y'all going to be bored to death looking at your little sad cultureless culture, right? Like if you get rid of all the Black people, what is America without Black people? Let's be real. Like, I mean, what is the end game of all this intentional neglect of Black Americans, and then the intentional murdering of Black Americans by the state? Like, do they really want us like gone, or like this is just sport for them? Let's just see, you know, how COVID runs rampant through the Negro population. Let's just see how many cops can kill Black people over the past, 400 or so. Like, what is the end game here? Like, seriously, I clue me in, because I don't get it.
So white supremacy is just like capitalism, right? Like it's a stupid system. It's ignorant in that the full actualization of capitalism is a system that's going to implode. That's no difference in white supremacy. White supremacy is based on the idea that they are better than us. So we should not care, we being them, should not care about Black people so much so that you can kill them for sport. And they've not thought to the point that you're discussing. They just know that we are subhuman to them. And then white people might feel some type of way that I said that, but their actions definitely support that idea. Even the most liberal ones, like Carey in the park in Central Park, who felt the need to say she was being threatened. And people are like, oh, she lost her job and she lost her way of life. And I'm like to myself, no, she didn't lose her way of life, because what she should be is charged with attempted murder, because calling a cop on a Black man for threatening a white woman's life is just that. So, this idea of white supremacy and their need to feel threatened or whatever they feel about Black people is the dumbness or the retardedness of white supremacy in itself.
Oh, this is going to sound so nasty, but they're going to have to lower the rims to 8 feet. They're gonna have to figure out, they're gonna turn on themselves, because they're gonna have to figure out somebody to oppress, right? So to all my oppressive brothers, and history proves that. History proves that after a successful genocide, that successor turns on themselves. History has said that a million times throughout the place of this earth. They're gonna have to figure out different ways and who they're going to turn the cops on.
We don't need to look far. Look at Europe them invading Native Americans in this country. Look what they were doing over there. They were already killing each other. So they
turning themselves, right? And I mean, if you look at the population, I mean, it's literally the same population from back then what America is right now. So I mean, it is what it is. Kim, your question is important, and the reason why it's so important is because, like, without us, this thing don't tick. Without us, this thing don't pop. It is like, you can, even your campaign tactics don't pop. Y'all progressives, y'all took y'all whole game plan for socialist movements from the Black Panther Party. Like, the progressives don't even have it, right? Like, so nobody's gonna win unless y'all go to bat. So as soon as these people start centering Black people, and I mean the Democrats and progressives and whoever the hell else is watching this right here, or whoever considers themselves free-loving people, until y'all center it and then say, okay, let me empower it so we can fix it together, then y'all are you're gonna lose without Black people.
That's all they ever do. Like listen, let's be honest. White people don't vote for progressives. Not in the real sense. 40-50% of them, not even 50, 40-some% of them vote for them. And that's been that way since the 70s. It's not Bernie Sanders that turned white people off. They've not been voting for progressive policies forever. And the Democratic Party became the Democratic Party it is because when Black people, when Fannie Lou Hamer finally got us a seat at the table, right? So to say, a seat at the table, the Democratic Party in Chicago, that's when white people, Ronald Reagan and the rest of those races, left the Democratic Party, because before that, they were Democrats. When they said, oh, if there's space for Black people in this party, then there's definitely not a space for me. So Marcus, you hit the nail on the head, bro.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Hey, fellas. Okay, we about 10 minutes left. So I wanted to ask y'all a question because this is just a tiny experiment, but I already know I'm right, so I'm not worried about it. So we saw the incident in Central Park with Karen, also known as what's her actual name? I forget already.
Amy Karen Cooper, something.
Amy Cooper calling the feds, calling the police,
or Jane Crow.
Or Jane Crow.
Crow.
Jane Crow was her name, Marcus.
It fits. It fits. Calling the police on the brother who asked her to leash her dog. So I wanted y'all, each of you, to share at least one story of when you had the police called on you by white people. Now, I have several stories. So I can either go first or y'all gentlemen can go first and I can finish it off. So
listen, I don't care who gets upset. I'm a Southern boy. And I still believe women go first. So go ahead, sis.
All right.
Oh, okay. This is a good one. So, okay. So this was like 2008 and I was on an airplane. I was leaving Tulsa, Oklahoma, because I had a radio job in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was flying back to Baltimore to go home. And I was sitting on an aisle seat and the stewardess kept bugging me for reasons. I don't even know why. Like I had fallen asleep and like I had my chair leaned back. And as I'm sleeping, like she leaned up my chair for me, right? And I'm like, what? Like kind of woke up like in a stupor. Like I had like my foot stretched out and she like ran like the serving cart into my foot. And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. So we land in Baltimore. Let me say that again. We land in Baltimore. We are on the ground. We are taxiing to the gate. And like most people, I unbuckle my seatbelt. A lot of people unbuckle their seatbelts when the plane is on the ground, right? So I unbuckle my seatbelt. I'm starting to get my stuff together. I never stood up or anything. So she gets on the loudspeaker and calls me out by my seat number, telling me yes. She told me I need to put my seatbelt back on. So by this time, I'm fuming, right? I am like, there's probably steam coming out of my ears. I didn't say a word. I just started glaring at her. She gets on the intercom again, asks me to put my seatbelt back on. Then she goes and tells the captain. The captain gets on the intercom. Oh, it seems we have a problem with the passenger who's refusing to buckle their seatbelt. TSA is on the way, okay? They called the police on me, all right? TSA shows up, white cop. Gets on the plane. Oh, seems we have a problem here. Who's the problem? I raised my hand. Me, right here. Grab my bag. They escorted me off the plane. I looked at that stewardess. I said, "You're doing a great fucking job." Get off the airplane. They didn't even connect us to the little walkway. Like I actually had to climb down the stairs and stand next to the plane. This TSA cop hops in my face. Starts yelling at me. Well, it seems that stewardess said that you weren't being compliant. I said, first of all, sir, you need to get back on that airplane and do an investigation. Do not take her word for it. I didn't unbuckle my seatbelt until after we landed. So that kind of shut him up a little bit, right? He goes back on the plane. I don't know what happens after that. He comes back off and he said, well, because a member of the flight crew made a complaint, the FBI has to investigate this. And you are about to be detained. So they put me in handcuffs, okay? They handcuffed me, put me in the back of the TSA car, drove me to wherever the fuck they keep detainees at BWI airport. And I was detained for 2 hours while the FBI determined whether or not I did anything that warranted criminal charges, which naturally they did not. My older brother, I had to stall my mom, right? I couldn't tell my mother I was in handcuffs and being detained. I'm like, I had to call my older brother. I'm like, listen, can you please come get me? Don't tell mommy what's going on. So after they figured out that I was not going to be charged and I'm about to leave, and I said to the cop, I said, well, I'd like to press charges. He's like, for what? I said, I want to press charges against that stewardess for being a fucking bitch. And he's like, unfortunately, ma'am, that's not against the law. But okay, so that's my one story of the police being called for no goddamn reason. Gentlemen, who's next?
Mondale, go ahead, man.
So for me, I just want to talk about I think I'm going to be extremely personal and talk about something that something different, not my incident, because I think I have another story that like rings true. My brother was 17 years old in North Carolina, and he was in a place that he shouldn't have been because they had a armed security guard who was checking IDs that said you had to be 21 to get in this establishment. He somehow got in this establishment without an ID. While he was in there, 2 white boys spit on him. He was in this country. He shouldn't have been in this spot because it was a redneck spot anyway, but he was in there and buying drinks, drinking, 17 years old. And they spit in his face. And he went outside. They were fighting. They got in a bar fight. He goes outside. They call him nigger. And he shoots them. He gets 17 years. Neither one of the white boys die. He gets 17 years. Nobody's brought up on like illegal, like selling alcohol to a minor, him being in an establishment where you can't be under 21 in there. No one gets charged for hate crimes, none of that. But he did 17. He's still doing 17 years for that. So I have tons of stories where I can tell you about. I had crazy incidents with cops, but I felt like it would be crazy for me to talk about anything other than the fact that I've missed 17 years with one of my favorite siblings because of white supremacy and their ability to, spit on somebody and call them nigger and not expect any retributions for that.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that sucks, man. How long he got? He getting out soon?
I mean, he's still angry. So I mean, he's supposed to be out in June. This buddy's not going to be. So maybe December I'll see him. Hopefully.
Oh.
He was locked up when his daughter was like 1 month old. So his daughter's now 17 or that age and not seeing her dad other than visits to this penitentiary or whichever penitentiary he's been moved to.
Well, when I got the cops called on me by white people, they probably should have called the cops on me.
Yeah.
Right. But the reason why is because I got fired because of what a white girl said. And the white girl that I work with lied on me up and down. Like, and I'm not gonna go into what she lied about, but she just lied on me. And it was like, I had no recourse because I was the only black guy at this job. And when the white girl felt threatened, she said, I feel like he was threatening me and I felt like I was in a bad place. So my manager says, I have no choice. She's been at the company longer. I have to let you go. And there was no investigation. I even said, well, isn't there a way that we could go to human resources and talk this thing out and figure out exactly what happened? Y'all need to do an investigation. I was fired. It was like, they said, they didn't just say, get out. They said, get the fuck out.
Oh, no.
Right. So they got security to take me outside. And I left the keys to my car in my locker. And these motherfuckers would not let me, they wouldn't let me get my keys. So they were in the right to call the cops on me because I was about to tear the doors down. Like, y'all need to give me my shit and give me shit right now, or there's gonna be some hell to pay. What I am saying is that we can't even react like they do, because I remember one guy actually threatening to blow the whole place up. They got fired at the same exact job location, and they didn't call it. So yeah, I probably deserved it, but on the same token, the reason why I got fired was even sort of what made me have the cops call on me. Institutional racism literally led me to getting the people who called on me.
Kim, before we go, tell people how they can follow you.
I'm on Twitter. You can find me at Kim Brown Live. I'm new, not new to Twitter. I had been on Twitter before, and then Twitter was bad for my mental health, so I deleted my Twitter. But I rejoined Twitter because I host a show on the Real News Network. It's called Stir Crazy. It comes on daily at 5 p.m. live on YouTube. You can go to our YouTube channel, The Real News, and check that out. And that's where I am. I'm very grateful. I'm in a position where my job lets me talk all the shit that I want, you know what I mean? Except I don't drop the N-word on my Real News show, but I use the N-word quite a bit.
Me too. I love it. It's one of my favorite words. And people need to know that there's a difference between N-I-G-G-A and N-I-G-G-E-R. Words transform all the time and become something different. So when Black people own the word that you try to break us with and mean it something, make it mean something so much more, I don't really care. I literally ended our show a couple of weeks ago with Cornel West and called him
Cornel West.
I told Cornel West, yo, you my nigga. And it's because how I feel. Like I don't, but I'm in a space where I have a few jobs, and all of them because it's who I am, allow me to be who I am. I refuse to let white America determine who and how I be black. You will never be the determinant of how I am or who I am. Period. Period. I'm at
because this we gonna have this conversation before we close the show out.
Go ahead.
Y'all ain't gonna police me whether I use the N-word or not.
You just say N-word.
N-word, nigger, IR. You're not gonna say it. Black people, the folks who have tried to police me and police others, right? Here's the thing. If you black, you got a mama, an uncle, a cousin, a sister, a friend that will say nigga please to you at all times. But you will get on social media and try to have some kind of dialogue around it when
the day, Marcus, tell him about the day before Martin Luther King died. He said to his best friend, Andrew Young, nigga, where you been all day? They love that respectable brother, right? That's one of the last sentences he said to his best friend. Nigga, where you been all day?
Here's another important statement. The second part of that: white people don't use it
ever, under no circumstances.
You can't do it. Listen, the day that the police stop killing black people and there is institutional racism in America might be the day that I think about letting you get away with that shit. But that is so far down the road. Never say it.
Hey, well, tell you what, if y'all ever decide to have me back on here, maybe we'll tell the stories about that time you had to punch that white person in the face for calling you a nigger. Because I got a story about that too. I got one of them too. Because that's the only language they understand. That's the only language they understand. You got to smack them in the teeth.
Listen, Malcolm said, why do we keep speaking? He said, black people speaking peace to whiteness. Whiteness is synonymous with white supremacy, is the equivalent of being an American speaker speaking English, being an English speaker speaking French speaking English to a French person who don't speak English. Like it's pointless. They don't understand it. So why am I going to continue to speak peace to someone who only knows violence?
Hey, I'm going to say something real quick before we close out, because Kevin, I'm going to let you close it out. But I just want to say, this episode is what happens when you keep fucking with us. This episode is what happens when black people die all the goddamn time and y'all don't do shit about it. I'm going to say something about black elected officials. I'm going to say something about our Democratic nominee. We already know Trump is shit. This is what happens when black people are tired.
Sick and tired.
I'm tired. I'm sick and fucking tired. I'm tired of us dying. Somebody got killed. A trans brother got killed in my hometown today.
And Marcus, tell that story, Marcus. Tell that story. Because they even after they killed a brother, they didn't even not only did they kill him and just pretend that they didn't kill him, they also misgendered him as if it didn't matter. And they continue to do it.
They don't even know if he had. They said he had a gun, which probably doesn't have a gun because brothers in Tallahassee ain't running around with guns. It don't even matter. Yes, they are.
This is a gun for black people. A cell phone is a gun.
Yeah, and you can be strapped. But the problem is, this show is what happens, and this is what you're gonna get. And hopefully these tap dancing Negroes and these safe Beckys who run our progressive spaces watch this show, and because we keeping it 1,000 right now. Go back through this show and watch it and read the damn talking points. Make your talking points off of our shit. Stop making talking points off of what you think some white person or what you think some goddamn poll says. Make your talking points off of what real people are actually saying. I'm a real person. I'm sick and tired. And I'm at the point where, yes, I'm an educated voter. But I'm at the point where I don't want to go out and talk to voters about your lame crime bill supporting ass. That's where I'm at. Because my people are still getting killed off of what you signed. And guess what? Trump is shit too. So what am I going to do? I'm going to support Jamie Harrison. I'm going to support down ballot tickets. And I'm not going to say nothing about your campaign. So until you do something besides, and I'm talking to Joe Biden right now, until you do something besides that lame ass lift every voice, until you do that, because that ain't nothing. You talking about community policing. I don't want no more police in my community. Because somehow I end up getting shot anyway.
Right.
So until you figure out how you can actually do something more, I'm not telling other black people not to vote for you, but I'm having a hard time advocating for you. and the people that you're looking at, like Amy Klobuchar, which is a slap in the face because you already knew, and your little vetting team already knew that she had prosecuted Black people in the 90s and 2000s. So guess what? Yeah, I did say that. Am I going to make it hard for you? Nah. But are you going to get me to go ham for you? Well, get Stacey Abrams, get a Black woman, and then we can have that conversation.
So
not just any Black woman though. I mean, we have to move past.
That's right.
The issue of just representation. Representation is not good enough, man. It's isn't
not.
because I mean, shit. Joe Biden could pick fucking Candace Owens. Isn't she a Black woman? You know what I mean? Like, is that the answer? You dig what I'm saying? Like, nah. Somebody's got to be in there with a progressive agenda, a progressive Black agenda. You know what I mean? And it starts on a variety of places. You know, Medicare for all is just one good starting point for us, for our community. But when it comes to policing and how the criminal justice system is weaponized against us and our children and our grandparents in a lot of places, like Joe Biden has to come with it. And it don't look like he's trying to come with it. And that's okay because of electoral politics. The state in which I live, Maryland, is a very blue state. It's going to go for Joe Biden anyway. And you know who I'm voting for president? Do y'all see who's behind me? Y'all see who, I'm writing in Ghostface Killer for president. Think I'm playing.
Ghostface got to vote.
Think I'm playing. Okay. Supreme clientele. Raekwon, vice president. That's how we go.
Purple tape.
That's right.
Listen, right. Listen, I don't need to build on much of what Marcus said because he covered it all. Here's what I will say though. This is gonna sound like I'm a house Negro, and this might be the only time anybody can ever accuse me of being a house Negro. Look at Marcus' eyes. Marcus was like, whoa. He's like, what am I drinking? I feel sad for the Black people who are playing politics right now. Like all of these Black people out here defending Joe Biden or acting like this is not a big deal. I'm extreme. Marcus is recording. I'm sad for y'all. I'm gonna tell you why I'm sad for y'all. Because you must have a hard time sleeping at night. There's no way you can be okay with this man saying, you can't be okay with this man saying who is and who isn't Black. And that's not a small thing. And for the past week, I've heard Black people pretend that it's minute. And the way they minimize what he said was, well, he ain't Trump. I don't measure racism. Racism is racism. So I'm glad you got that ladle where you can say this is an ounce of it or this is a pound of it. To me, it all kills Black people. So you keep it. And I'm praying for you and your pillow tonight.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it there. Mondale and Marcus, they let Kim Brown come in, hang out on Clickbaity, the political thirst trap. We do this when, gentlemen? Every Thursday?
Every Tuesday and Thursdays, 8:30 to 9:30-ish, because we're on CP time.
Are you coming back, Kim?
Oh, man, if y'all let me come back.
Man, you know it.
I don't cuss too much and say nigga too much for y'all.
Listen, this is not a major news network, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, or any of the alphabet games you want to play with. we just want to be Black, and you do a damn good job of checking that box.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. Hey, Facebook Live, we appreciate you tuning in. I have no idea how many people tuned in or what the comments were, but it's all good. So you can go back and rewatch this, replay this, tell a friend to tell a friend, bitch. This is what we do, okay? It's Clickbaity, the political thirst trap. We'll see you on Tuesday. Y'all be easy. Peace, Negroes and
Peace,
non-Negroes.
Y'all. Peace.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, Clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Yeah. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent Clickbaity. Yeah. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap those squirrels, look if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Clickbaity, ThirstTrap. Trap squad, trap squad. Hey, squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. All those squirrels, look if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad.